trend analysis. I really enjoy trend analysis. There's a number of things we can do in Tableau for that. Things like linear plots, exponential plots, polynomials, logarithmics, and they're very easy to do. It's really a drag and drop. With Excel, it's kind of the same. I guess you can just right click, add trend line. But with Tableau, it's really a straight up drag and drop. And then modifying it and seeing actually how it's calculated is really useful in case you ever need to defend or explain your analysis, right? And it couldn't be simpler. So let's get straight into it. What I've got here is the sales over time. So let's create that graph or graph or chart, right? Let's go and find, I'm going to minimize the parameters. We're not interested in that right now. Let's bring in sales. Okay, so we got the sum of sales, and let's look for order date, right? I'm going to use that right click, drag and drop, okay, to bring up this menu. And we're going to go and use, let's say, week. Let's go okay. And I've got all these points. And instead of using a line, I do want them to just be circles, just so it's a bit easier to see. Let's go in here and go circle, okay? And I want to see what is the general direction of this data? Is it going this way? Is it going upwards? I mean, which way is it going? Is it not moving at all, right? It's hard to see that in terms of just dots, okay? So that's why we use trend lines. We want to know the general direction of our information, okay? And here's how we do it. If you go to the analytics tab right here, we're going to look for trend line, okay? We drag it and you'll see, oh, power was the other one. Power, I can feel the power, right? So you got linear, logarithmic, exponential, polynomial, power. It doesn't matter really what you choose if you choose it by accident, because you can always change it, right? We're going to start with linear and just drop it on linear, and straight away I have a line. And if I hover, it gives me all sorts of information. It shows me the actual formula. And if I can get my drawing tool, yes, I can. This formula, right, is really just a linear equation. It's just y equals mx plus c. C being your y-intercept, x being your x variable going this way, right? In this case, it would be days because you can't really put date in there. If you're thinking about this mathematically, it would be a number relative to your starting position. So that would be considered 0. And if this was 1 year, that would be 365. Okay. If you ever wanted to know mathematically how it works, this is m, your gradient, your rise over run value. So the value here. So let's call this your rise, right? And this is your run, okay? And if you want to know the equation to that, it's pretty easy. You can go into Google and find that. And y is just your sales value. So when you calculate this, it'll give you your sales, or if you reverse it, you should be able to calculate the day, right? That is what this shows. Plus you've got your R squared and then your p-value. If you are interested in statistics, you can get into that as well. So let's look at a few other things we can do with it. If I right click on the line, I can go describe, and it actually gives me more information about the trend line if you so need to discuss this, right? I can also right click again. We can go describe trend line. This gives even more information. This is particularly useful when you get up to the forecasting models, when you get up to something a lot more complicated, and this stuff really matters. Okay, data scientists love this kind of stuff, statisticians, okay, to really look into their data. Let's look into a bit of, let's look into a bit of formatting. So we can go into, let's go edit trend lines, okay? In this one, sorry, before we do formatting, this lets you change this trend line. So instead of a linear, we can go exponential, right? Polynomial, we can change it so to the power of, meaning how many components of the equation do we have, if you know anything about these kinds of equations. So you can change how many bends, really is probably the best explanation, right? You can show confidence bands, you can force an intercept of 0, that plus C we talked about before, right? Really basic options of what you want to change, okay? And then finally, we get to the formatting, right? And from here, I can edit the trend line. So if I click this one, I can make it dashed. I can make it a bit thicker. Let's make it red. Let's make it less transparent so we can see it. And there you go. What I actually like to do is make the plot a little bit transparent. If I'm trying to show the trend line if that's really what's important that I'm trying to show. Okay, there we go. And that's pretty much how you do trend lines. So not too much to it, right? Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.